Hey guys, this is the East Coast Economic Update for January the 21st, 2010. Sorry, I don't know what it is. I haven't eaten yet. Just wanted to give you a couple of three items that I think are much more interesting than watching the stock market have a hysterical fit because I can't figure heads or tails of what's going on over there. The first thing is that China has made a 180-degree turn. They have, excuse me, they've tightened their lending standards and prevented a lot of people who originally were going to get loans in China and now cannot get them. And also, they have increased the amount of capital holdings that banks must hold on to. This is something to keep an eye on, and I think it's basically what's going on is China is trying to slow down the amount of manufacturing so it doesn't outpace demand, and because it is not dealing with the go-go consumer-driven economy that the United States was 2 years ago, going on almost 3 years ago. Realize that we're no longer the number one trading partner with them. We're number four. It goes Europe, Russia, India, then us. And of course, China this December sometime became the number two economy in the world, knocking out Japan by a mile. It won't be long before they will outshoot us. It used to be said that every time America caught a cold, the world caught pneumonia. I think this time, when China sneezes, when China gets nervous, everybody gets a panic attack. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Don't forget that that China is trading with people who have goods, not debt. Russia has obviously oil, natural gas, and other steel, for example, and that surrounding area has real goods. Europe has protected industries that they keep because when the European Union was created, they made sure that these cottage industries were not moved off to Europe, to Asia to protect their people from not having a job, actually having an industry. So that's just something that you should keep an eye on. There is definitely a global shift. It's been going on for a year, but now it's starting to get obvious. Secondly, the jobless claims. I should, I said back, I think in early December when the 80 or the 80, no, not the 80, the 11,000 unemployment numbers came out. I said, you'll be sleeping with sugar plums dancing in your head and it'll come back to bite you in the behind. Well, I should have said Little Christmas because they finally went through all the paperwork and realized that it went from 444,000 claims to over 486, which is a big jump. So that slight improvement was a false flag, I guess, of some sort. Also, the other interesting thing, which is much more scary, is Leesman didn't realize that there was such a thing as emergency unemployment benefits. Well, it jumped up, and I just want to get the right numbers for you. It shot up by 654,364, and it raised the number of people on emergency unemployment to 5,654,544 individuals. That means that on top of people who have just lost their jobs, that have worked for 6, 9 months, whatever, or more, and they've just lost their jobs, there's a whole new group of people. I don't know how you get emergency unemployment. Maybe guys like me, truck drivers, whatever, who are considered independent, whatever. But that's an additional 5 million, which goes back to my last video, which says how many millions do we need before we hit all of America being unemployed? How long will it take? It's a rhetorical question, but how long will it take? It won't take long. So that's just something that is just slowly concerning me. Finally, there was something that was kind of humorous and also frightening at the same time. It was from MediaMonarchy.com. That's what happens when you grow up in Brooklyn and you don't speak English clearly. There's a company that makes scope sights on rifles for Marines and the Army. and they have an exclusive contract with the Marine Corps and the United States Army to make these scopes. And what they discovered on the scopes, on the sides of the scopes, were Christian verses. And the United States Marine Corps were a little disturbed by it because of the view of you don't want to proselytize to people, on a weapon that belongs to the government. But I just want to point something out. You may think initially, hey, that's really great, give somebody a sense of faith. But I want to point out an example of something similar to this, which started the Boer War. The Boer War didn't start with, the Muslims not listening to the British. They were listening to the British, and they were marching for the British. And what happened was they had gotten new rifles, and they have these new cartridges. And the cartridges had to stay moist to keep the powder burn, or the powder to ignite, I guess. And they had to use something inside the things because you have to rip it open you had to rip it off with your mouth and put the cartridge in to fire it. And they wanted to use something that wasn't toxic and would not, would be made out of like some type of food product. So they decided they were going to pack all these ammunition with pork fat. So once these Boer warriors who were fighting for the British, trying to control their country, first one ripped into it and realized, I've just eaten pork and have defiled myself in my religion. Now, what does that have to do? And that's what started the Boer War. The insensitivity of the British for the religion of the people who, whatever, who would not eat pork. So now you're going to give these scopes to our friends who are against the Taliban. They're going to have these rifles, and they're going to say, what does this thing mean? And they're going to turn around and say, aha, the Crusaders are coming. They're going to try to convert us to Christianity from our holy religion of Islam. And they're going to turn that weapon on us. It goes back to 9/11, and everything else was done because of foreign policy and blowback. This could be a blowback. This is just bad foreign policy, insensitivity. So, but I leave all this to you. The articles are listed. And until next time, peace.